We've been seeing a lot of plane crashes recently, resulting in very strange circumstances. The number of total plane crashes isn't actually up, but the number of plane crashes that result in fatalities is up significantly. And we're seeing a disturbing trend as a plane this morning crashed into a military housing facility, one of the largest in the country, causing some strange damage. You can see video right there of it. There's part of the plane, there's the fire afterwards, and you're watching these flames that are going down the street. Really weird to watch that. It looks like a movie scene. How does a flame, you saw that footage 10 seconds ago, as it goes directly down the line, almost like it is a fuse being lit. That is super weird. It doesn't make any sense. And to go even further with this, the call sign of the plane included the numbers 666, as well as the fact that the duration of the flight time, which was only just over 2 minutes, was one of the numerical symbols from the Bible. Very strange stuff. That could be a coincidence on the second one, but the 666 and the way the footage looks, it's a lot harder to call that a coincidence. Joe, you've flown on a lot of private planes before. You've seen them firsthand.
I've flown private planes.
It is. And you are married to one of a commercial pilot, one of the people who flies these things and who understands what it's like. What are you seeing in these videos, and why are we seeing this disturbing trend? I know what the reason is, by the way, but I want to hear your take on it. Why are we seeing this disturbing trend in plane crashes that result in fatalities?
I don't know. I mean, again, I don't. I saw the 666. That was a little eerie for me. But I think we were talking about is the flight time, which is 3:12, right?
3:12. Yep.
Yeah. And so, look, if depending on how you feel about what's gone on and occurred thus far, we've got a lot of coincidence. You call them coincidences. A lot of coincidences that have happened. I mean, Joe Biden got 81 million votes. Most ever by any president ever. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. You have this. You have the helicopter crash that happened that crashed into a commuter plane. There's just a lot of stuff going on all at the same time. And by the way, the fuse going down the street, that's caused by leakage. You can see where the plane actually crashed down further and basically ripped through the cars as it was trying to land on that road.
Yep.
And
Let's
so the
play
fuel
that again, by the
basically.
way. Can you put that footage back up?
So that's caused by there's a drain there, and aviation fuel is much more volatile than gasoline, and so that line that went down the deal is just the fuel where the plane finally rested, and basically the fuel just went down the drain area, and then once the plane caught it, it just went all the way down.
Also, there was a camera, one of the home security cameras that caught the crash in action, that will be played by the end of the episode as long as we're able to get it on the roll. So stay tuned for that, because the way in which it goes down is oftentimes more important than anything else. What we've seen recently, especially, is a combination of birds getting caught, which we all know can easily be done by fake birds that make it look like the crash was natural, but in reality, it was orchestrated or planned. It was also foggy that day. We saw that in the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash and others where fog causes this. It's typically very rare for fog to cause a plane crash, though, as you know, Joe. So this seems to be something different. Why would a plane, seemingly in good condition, after just over 2 minutes of flight time, fall to the sky and crash like that? Unless it was planned, unless it was orchestrated, who was on that plane? We have a lot of details that we're going to be going through as this breaking news story unfolds. Plane crash, big story, big show today, multiple other topics as well, but that's the main focus as we hone in on what really happened today on Untamed.
Take two. Cut.
Take two.
I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
All right, follow me with this.
But they've been using their power to obstruct and stop justice from taking place.
You want to pray us out?
I do.
We'll pray for Tina. And let's have conversations about what truth is.
We have footage too of the aftermath that shows in very weird form the way people just kind of gravitate to this. People are standing around, people are looking at what's happening, and there's just cameras there. Multiple people lost their lives in this. And it's super surreal to me every time I see that. Every time I watch as there's just this big media storm, and it seems almost like it didn't even really happen, that someone died, that it was just some sort of weird phenomena that people are filming and covering. And that's important to remember. In every single one of these crashes that we're seeing, there are people with families, there are people who are loved, who are cared about, that died. And I don't know what kind of person would choose to get in a plane that has a 666 on the call sign. I personally wouldn't. So that does lead me to believe there could be some more foul play, something else that's suspicious.
Yeah, because you can change your, just so you know, you can change your tail number. You know, it's a registration process. You have to repaint it. You have to tag the plane, but you can actually change the call. I can tell you right now, if I had a plane and I went to buy it and it said 666, I'm not buying that plane.
Yep.
And if I am buying that plane, and if I was selling that plane and it had 666 on it, I would change the call signs of that plane. I would, personally. I have no interest in even associating myself anything that would be that would even be closely related to the devil's insignia. I wouldn't do it.
So I want to show you this. Take a look. If you want to search yourself at home at a certain Bible verse that correlates directly to this, I'm pointing it up now. That is John 3:12. So the plane was in the air for exactly 3 minutes and 12 seconds. That's the flight time of this plane before it crashed. The call sign 666, as Joe just said, it is possible that the call sign was changed to that by the current owners, by the people who were flying it. So if they changed the call sign to 666, perhaps they also intentionally decided to make the time of flight exactly 3:12. That would be hard to time. Maybe there's some ulterior way to make it exactly that. But here's what John 3:12 says. If I have told you earthly things and you do not believe, there it is on the screen. How can you believe if I tell you heavenly things? I'm going to read it one more time. If I have told you earthly things and you do not believe, how can you believe if I tell you heavenly things? The word directly from God. Now, the interpretation of that in this context is very macabre, because if that was planned, if they did do the 666 on purpose, if they did do the time on purpose, then what that means is they're trying to send a signal. And I believe this is the verse they're alluding to. There are also multiple other 3:12s in the Bible. But they're basically saying, in my personal interpretation, that this is either they're trying to go back against God. This is a message to God, a message against God, a satanic flight that crashed and probably was trying to take the lives of people. Fortunately, didn't. Only the people that were on board. It didn't take anyone else's life in the village, in the homes there. At least that's so far that we know. We'll have to stay up to date on that. It is breaking news. We could learn later of a fatality. But as far as I'm aware, the only fatality was the people in the plane. And that makes me think there was something more to this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, it's the people lost their lives. I actually didn't even look at this beforehand. I know it's a citation jet. I know they had a fuel dump that happened prior to it. So basically, when you're coming in to crash, if you have a full tank, you'll actually dump fuel before you actually land. And the reason why we know that happened is because I'm not sure, I didn't get a chance to look through some of the rundown videos, but there was animals that were adversely affected by the fuel dump itself. Did that actually happen? Am I just making that up?
It seems unlikely based on the fact that it was in a neighborhood, but I could certainly see that being the case. Also,
no, I think they did. I think they had you actually have to do a fuel dump. It'd be like a bomb going off if you didn't do a fuel dump. So if you know you're going down, there's a protocol that they go through as pilots. And one of the things you want to do is you want to get rid of as much fuel as possible if you know you're going to crash. And the reason being is because it's all flammable. And so upon impact, there's a couple things that you can do in order to make it less likely that you turn into a big fireball, which is what happened here. So I mean, I'm looking through it. There's do we have a
and there's the video right there showing the dogs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't wild animals. And by the way, that was what I was referring to, Joe.
Obviously, wild animals? No.
Yeah, we can see for sure that the plane made a dump. That's why there was a big fire that was a larger area. The plane had been dripping, leaking oil everywhere, and had obviously dumped before the crash, avoiding a much bigger explosion. Fortunately, thank God that was the case. But you can see here, these dogs are now covered in oil, having to be bathed off at this facility here. So poor dogs, and obviously our prayers go out to the people who did lose their lives, assuming this wasn't intentional. And if it was intentional, then that's a much different story. That's a much bigger story that we're going to have to be looking into very carefully.
Okay, so do we know who the pilot is yet?
We do not. I believe, so there were some rumors about who it could have been.
You've learned that you're not going to put that up yet. Somebody better confirm it first. It'll end up being some transgender gorilla.
Transgender gorilla.
Is it too soon? It might be too soon.
Too soon, Joe. Too soon.
You got to have a sense of humor about it. You really do.
So we do have now. We're about to put up a picture. We do have the pilot's identification. Actually, it is about to go up on screen. We now have a picture of the ID of the pilot. Take a look at this. So this shows who the pilot was. We can see some of the details about them. Again, this is rumors. We don't know for sure. We don't know for sure, Joe. It could have been anyone, Joe. But this is who was allegedly flying the plane at the time. And so if you look at this, you can see you can basically see if you want to eyes brown, don't know what that means. Hair brown, appears, so it's a man. We know that. Height.
Yeah.
Would you mind, Apollo, moving?
That's his flight card.
Yeah. So height is, does this say 6'5"? Oh, 85 inches. Is that? Can you read that? I'm trying to look at that. So
yeah. So that's
this is just coming in. I can't fully read it on the screen there. What does that say? You know what I'll do? I use
his date of birth is the 19th of. Is it 10th of January? Is it 83 or 93, Apollo?
83. It is. Okay, I can look at it now. So it is the 10th of January, 1983. This is someone who was in his 40s, 42. David Michael Shapiro. So it is a Jewish individual, most likely, based on the last name Shapiro. Could not be, but most people with the name Shapiro are Jewish. And so that also means it could be just a fake picture, because a lot of times people like to say it was a Jewish person afterwards. But the fact that it was 666, we do know some formerly Jewish atheists like the number 666 a lot. That's part of the formerly Jewish.
I mean, he's a transport pilot, right?
Yep.
And I actually just put up his Instagram.
Interesting. And it has his address blacked out. But that also starts with a 6. It looks like that's mostly blacked out. David Michael Shapiro, definitely a Jewish name. There's no doubt about that. If this is indeed the person that was flying the plane. So 65 inches. This is also a short individual, which is, I don't know if that's important. There was someone else on the plane too. Who was the other person on the plane? We still don't know that yet. So 65 inches, that is 5'4". So this is someone who's a very short man, very short Jewish man that decided potentially to crash the plane on purpose, allegedly. Now, hopefully that's not the case and it was just an accident, but how many times do we see a 2-minute flight pattern, no clear evidence of something happening, and then the plane crashes? It is so unbelievably rare, especially with an experienced pilot. It has to be something more here. I'm just looking at it. I can't understand how this couldn't be, with the 666, with the clear call signals all across the board, that this couldn't be something more than what we're being told right now.
Now, let me ask you a question. Are we sure this is the guy?
No, there's no 100% proof. I mean, you can never really be sure until Normally, it's at least a day or two after when the flight data is released directly from the airport. Until that, we won't know for sure. So if this isn't the fight, 100% not him, says JC. Okay, so good to know. 100% not him. This guy is
It's
alive and
not
well.
David
Posting
Shapiro?
from Florida. It is not David Shapiro. So sure enough,
Yeah, because I just
Yeah.
saw that the post just went up. So I'm like, unless he's, yeah, he is a pilot. And see, this is the problem. And this is how you got sucked in, Matt, to the other deal is that people post things saying, hey, I've got this new knowledge that I'm in. So somebody goes out there, finds someone, and then says, okay, let's create this kind of, let's kill this guy, basically.
Yeah, and again, it's because he's Jewish and he's a pilot that is posted on Instagram. So people are using that to say that a Jewish person did this, which is, that's how the internet works these days, especially. And some of it's justified, some of it's not. Obviously, in this case, we now know, we can say definitively, based on what our producer is showing us, that is 100% not the guy. The post was from 8 hours ago. Okay, so 8 hours ago, could that have been correlated? I don't think so. Okay, let me look at this. Okay, so yeah, I think we can pretty confidently say that's probably not the pilot. It would be very unlikely, just based on the fact that it's the internet. So we'll go ahead and move on from that being the pilot. That is not the pilot. We still don't know the name of the pilot, who the pilot was. Was this intentional? Was it not intentional? Very, 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 very creepy stuff that we're seeing right here. So we actually have. So I think this is important. So we also have.
So it's not him, and we just literally got. So they haven't released who the pilot is yet at all?
No. So I'm looking at it right now. I do not see who the pilot is anywhere online. They're potentially hiding it again. So some people are saying it was a DEI pilot. Typically, every time they hide it, it's a DEI pilot. And again, they hide it at first. Sometimes they'll release it at first. We still don't have confirmation until a day or two later. But they're not even releasing it at all. So we don't know anything yet about who the pilot was. Was it a DEI hire again? Was it intentional? There's a lot of questions on the table to the point that's almost not even worth talking about this story anymore because we just don't know enough yet. It's important to cover it to the degree we have, but there's not really much more we can tell you about it.
Okay, wait a minute. I have something here. I found something. So this is Alaska news source. This just came out 2 hours ago. And this is a private jet that crashed in the neighborhood in San Diego early Thursday morning, killing at least 2 people who were registered to an Alaska owner. The plane, a Cessna Citation 2, was registered to a limited liability company in Alaska named Daviation LLC, which is registered by David Michael Shapiro, an FAA registered pilot, flight instructor, and ground instructor. According to
that's real.
It was unclear as of press time if Shapiro was piloting the plane when it went down. Shapiro has addresses in Alaska and San Diego. The jet was tracked from a Colonel James Jabara Airport of Wichita, Kansas, headed towards Montgomery Gibbs Executive Airport in San Diego, according to the FlightAware status. The plane left Wichita around 2:30 in the morning, Central Time, and was scheduled to arrive in San Diego at 3:47 Pacific time. However, the plane did not arrive at the airport. The aircraft crashed just before 4 a.m. into a military housing neighborhood in San Diego. Okay, so it got all the way from Wichita and got into San Diego and then crashed into San Diego when it was scheduled to arrive at San Diego at 3:47 a.m. So just before 4 a.m., the plane crashed. It appeared to strike at least one home that had charred and collapsed roof and smashed through half a dozen vehicles. San Diego Police Department said that at least 2 people are dead and 8 others injured. About 10 homes suffered damage, but emergency crews transported no one in the military housing, which means more than probably 2 people died, if I had to guess. But this is just as of 2 hours ago. So we don't know yet. And it says hypoxia likely caused the death of Cessna Citation crash. Pilot incapacitation due to an unexplained loss of cabin pressure was likely the cause of oh no, that was a different one. Never mind. Forget it. Forget what I just said. Here's one that tells us.
So now, okay, this is getting crazier. So now we have confirmation from a news source that the Shapiro guy was involved in some capacity with this. That is not fake news. Okay, this is getting
but which one is it
crazy.
though? Which Shapiro is it?
And it could be because there's probably a lot of people with that name, Shapiro, maybe even multiple people with the name that are also pilots. David Shapiro is an extremely common name. So we actually still don't know for sure if that was the same guy. But we are learning now that there was a David Shapiro involved in this, whether he was flying the plane or he was the one who owned the company is still yet to be determined. This is a weird unfolding story, isn't it, Joe? What's going on here?
I don't know. I'm actually interested in it, though. It's like got me going down a rabbit hole.
It does.
8 people on the ground and damaged 10 homes in the neighborhood. Let me see what else I can find on this. And this is a lot. What's his name, David? What's his middle name? What's his middle name?
Can you put up his middle name, Apollo? I don't remember off the top of my head. David Michael Shapiro.
David Michael Shapiro. Let me put it through this program that I have. Shapiro. Alaska. Okay, here we go. Sound Talent Group's Dave Shapiro is a licensed pilot. So it looks like it's tied to, he's a Sound Talent Group co-founder, Dave Shapiro. He's killed in the plane crash. Here you go.
So he was killed in the plane crash. That's now confirmed?
Yeah, it's confirmed.
Meaning he was likely piloting it. Meaning the 666, the Jewish connection is.
Yep, that's it. Dave Velocity.
Wow. Okay. Well, what a wild ride. What a wild ride. And I'm glad, by the way, that we were making sure to be careful about this before saying it was the person. That's obviously important. So I'm glad we took that step. But so here we're looking at it. What is that on the screen, Apollo? That's the Instagram of the person.
Yeah, this is the actual Instagram. Oh, and it looked like he just got his pilot's license again about 4 years ago. And you'll see that on the post with his flight license, his pilot's license, you'll see people saying, "Hey, fly high, rest in peace."
Wow.
And then you have some bunch of crappy people that are saying, "Well, you probably should have done some more training, buddy," with a laughing emoji. He's full of shit.
Well, I don't know though. I would normally agree with you, Joe, but because 666 is what this guy chose for the plane allegedly, it makes me question everything. It makes me wonder if, in fact, those people are correct to call him out, and if maybe we should be looking at this as a potential attack. This may not be just an accident. So that's something we're going to have to look into. Apollo, can we scroll down on the Instagram? I want to see the other posts that this guy's made. So looks like, I don't know who that is. We can click on the one of the woman there. Is that his mom, maybe, as his wife? Probably, seems like his wife. Okay, there's another picture. There's him flying. There's the dogs. Doesn't look super unhinged. Seems like a normal guy. For the most part, has a family, has someone he loves, enjoys dogs. Not the guy you would typically think of to do something like this on purpose.
Yeah. So let me just kind of give you a little bit of what happens when you're in an airplane, right? So I met my wife because she was a pilot. She was a instructor. So I went in and decided I wanted to learn to fly. And I'm still her best student. So I think that remains, I still have that award, and I married her. It's 23 years later. Everything's good. But when you're in the air, you have a lot of things that are going on all at the same time. When you're in a jet, multiply that by speed and by a whole bunch of other variables. Did you drop your landing gear? Are you checking your oxygen sensor to make sure that you're not going to become hypoxic? Are you making sure that there's no seal issues in the plane? When you're walking around that jet, there's a totally different. This is why you'll have a pilot that has to sit in the right seat or left seat for 3, 4, 5 years and go through all the motions and be taught by the captain of that before they hand over the reins to you. It's why most jets require you to have 2 pilots, is because there's a lot of things going on when you're trying to land and to take off. 2 most dangerous times that you're in the plane. So I don't want to say that what he did was right. It's a very unfortunate event. Obviously, the 666 is problematic for me, only because I'm not sure that I would buy a plane or own a plane, and whether or not he's he got to meet his maker as a result of bad decisions. I mean, there's some signs that point towards that, but right now it's just an unfortunate event, and there's so much that go into it. There's so much that can cause you to crash a plane, and that's just in a little plane. In a jet is completely different. Completely.
Exactly. And this is going to be a very viral story, by the way, because as it unfolds, we're also learning that it could have been because it was a military base, a military family home center where it crashed into, that it could have potentially been trying to take the lives of those individuals or trying to send a message to the U.S. government, something to do possibly because of his Jewish connection with Israel, the Middle East. That oftentimes is the case. We don't know anything, so I guess we probably should take a break from the story for right now, do some more research, and move on to the next story of the day, which is...
Are you sure? You want to move on to this next story?
Going on?
No. This next story is going to get us in trouble. I mean, based on what happened to me yesterday, bro, it was unbelievable yesterday. We are not allowed to say anything about...
Yeah, don't say it too loud, Joe.
You're not allowed to say anything.
You gotta be careful. Don't say it too loud.
Look, we have a problem. And this next story is going to be... It's not even a story. It's a continuing saga. And it always happens at the same time that something is happening where we're not allowed to criticize the Jewish leadership, right? The Israeli leadership, the Israelites leadership. You're not allowed to criticize it. So this is a big story. Obviously, there's a bunch of things that happened yesterday that you need to click in on, but we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about what you're not allowed to talk about. And we're also going to talk about the fact that I put a post up. I got onto a X space last night, and this raging lunatic. I'm trying to find it right now so you could just listen to a couple of the people that were speaking. Unhinged, really unintelligent people. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back with what we're not allowed to talk about. Here. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting!
If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter.
It was around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and I received an email from PayPal. It showed in this email that there was a debit in my PayPal account that was going to be taken out. I don't remember following the link in the email even. I think I went straight to the PayPal account, and that pending debit was there. And it was for about $1,000, I believe, so it was a lot of money. So I called the phone number on that email. And it kind of, the way this guy was talking, I didn't even question what he was saying. And I've worked with computers for the past 40 years. And he just kept convincing me, and he was a legitimate person that was going to fix my computer, and I had faith in him that he was doing his job. I got in the car and I drove, and I was just thinking, this isn't right. I've given this guy enough money to buy like 2 computers. So I came home and I just thought about it some more, and I called my wife had come home. I was by myself. I had to fix the computer, fix my phone, change my bank accounts, change all of my passwords. I mean, I went through like 2 weeks of going through everything I owned, changing everything that I had because of this guy calling me for those 2 or 3 hours. How did I fall for this? And it was a very traumatic experience. I know I wasn't the only one out there that had fallen for this. Listen to yourself and think about it before you do anything, and don't just trust somebody, even though it's so believable somehow. If you feel comfortable getting a software to help you to find out, who that actually track these scams, do it. I mean, if they feel that's something important to you, do it.
Matt, the enormity of what we're about to talk about is troubling.
It is.
And I want everyone to understand this. And I started to write a post this morning that said bigot, racist, homophobe, transphobe, anti-Semite. I wrote it all down, like all the misogynist. I went through all of it, all the different things that the dog whistles. And some of it's true. Some of it is absolutely true. There are racists out there. There are bigots out there. There are anti-Semites out there. But if you want to solve this problem, and last night I got on this, if we can put it up there, I got on a X space, and it was probably one of the most, I don't even know how to explain what it was. It was really bad. It was really bad. And there's this person called Rodent. A better term for this person would have been called Rodent. And I did find out that Ryan Fortier was involved in it at some point. But I was sitting on there listening to these people go off and talk about the fact that Alpha Warrior is a bad person. And it had this whole list of Maze is this bad person, and that they're all anti-Semites. And, you got Candace Owens, who's like the second coming of the devil itself. And nobody wanted to address the problem. So I got on and I was like, look, I'm going to try and walk very calmly through this. And the name of it was called Stop the Hate. There's more that hate the Jews. I don't even know what I'm talking about. So this Rodin character is a Jew from Ukraine. And some of the things that they were talking about, I agreed with, but it was
a Jew
such
or formerly Jewish atheist. That's an important distinction.
Probably a Jewish atheist.
Yeah,
probably a Jewish atheist.
Formerly Jewish atheist. Yep.
Formerly, and so I made the delineation. She's like, I just started talking about, having experience in the Middle East and everything. He's like, I came here and, basically F everyone that doesn't believe that Jews are the chosen people. I'm not anybody's dog. Okay. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't really care. This is one of the problems I have with somebody that Matt and I know that wants to talk to me as if I'm his dog. And I'm like, block, I'm out. We're done talking. I'm nobody's dog. Right. And I'm going to tell you that as I sat on here and I started talking about why. What are the symptoms and what are the problems? If we want to solve the problem, we can solve the problem. And solving the problem takes understanding why people appear to be anti-Semitic and that you're heating up the oil. You're heating up the people that are inside the United States and around the world who are not stupid. They can see and observe the obvious. And a week ago, I talked about specifically that you have atheistic demonic Jews. You have a fraternity of people. They're judges, they're lawyers, they're financiers, they're really bad, they're politicians, they're really bad people. And I said, listen, until you can stop them from using as a human shield the Israelites, the people from Israel, I'm going to call them what they are. That's a biblical name, by the way. It doesn't say Jew in the Bible. It says Israelites. So the Israelites, until you can have them stop hiding behind them and acting as if it excuses their behavior because, oh, I'm Jewish, you're not allowed to say anything, or you're an anti-Semite. Until you can get rid of this atheistic, godless, just completely demonic group of people and their little follower group, the neocon group that has excused their behavior so they can commit mass crimes against people all over the world, until you do that, you're going to see anti-Semitism drive up and go after innocent people. And I put up a post last night and I got phone calls all day today. And before I get into kind of the flags that just popped up, and people were coming out saying, hey, false flags. Well, this Ronan character kicked me off the deal as I'm speaking. I talked about Klaus Schwab and the history of Klaus Schwab and coming from Switzerland and raised as a Catholic. And notice that Klaus Schwab said he was raised as a Catholic, not that he was Catholic, he was raised as one. And to excuse the war crimes that were committed by his dad when he was in Germany, working for them when he was moved from Switzerland to Germany. A part of the same cult that has created all the things that we see coming out of the World Economic Forum. And I brought up Yuval Noah Harari and other people related to the World Economic Forum, and she cut me off and said, goodbye, Joe, and then started basically belittling me on this deal. I was the only, I was texting with people that came into the space, and I'm texting with them afterwards, and they're like, Joe, you were the only one that brought any sort of common sense. It sounded like a convention of toothless morons. And they're talking about, having a high IQ, and I'm thinking, you mean between all of you? Because it was that bad. It was that just unhinged. It was so unhinged that Ronan decided that we're not going to save this. We can't save this for other people to listen to. We have to get rid of it. And so it was a raging event on X, and then all of a sudden it was gone. But last night I put something up, Matt, and the important part of this is that, I don't hate Jewish people. I'm not a self-loathing individual. I don't hate my family. I don't hate people around me. You know what I despise, though? I despise people that hide behind other people like cowards and use them as pawns so they can punch people and use people as punching bags. And then when they retreat because they're about to get their ass kicked, they decide, oh, you know what? You're an anti-Semite. And so I want to solve the problem. And we do have a problem. So I said this last night. I said I went into a space and tried to explain the position of those that see faithless atheist Jews as demons, hiding behind the Israelites. They are doing really bad things. Many like Bossberg are judges. They are lawyers. They're pedophiles like Epstein and Weinstein. Many build a fraternity of evil and treat people like dogs while dog whistling anti-Semitism to cover their crimes. Jewish godless cowards deserve no protections or any special privileges. They have proven that they are evil, doing evil and deserving every bit of the ridicule they face. And if we do not designate them as a fraternity of evil that they are, they will lead to another mass attack on the many good people that are hiding behind them as they act with impunity. Sorry, not sorry, debate me on this. But make sure you come prepared to be spanked. It is obvious to people, just as obvious as white farmers in South Africa are being slaughtered by a narrative manufactured by godless demons there as well. Same. Matt, do you think anything that I said there was wrong? Am I saying anything that's wrong there?
The truth is, there's a group of people who aren't allowed to be criticized because they have circle jerked themselves into institutional power positions. That is a group called the formerly Jewish atheist mob. And they have, with an iron fist, ruled over people for far too long. They have used their power to hurt others, to destroy countries, to cause problems, to create chaos. They have hurt people who are good Jewish people. They have hurt their reputations in the process and made a lot of people hate Jewish people as a whole, when in reality, it is specifically the formerly Jewish atheist mob that is attacking people. And so as a result of that, I don't think what you said was wrong at all. In fact, I think it didn't even go far enough in some ways, and it was absolutely accurate and needed to be said. And regardless of the pushback that you get for it or the criticism that comes along with it, the consequences, it needs to be done. And if it isn't, our country will be destroyed by this mob who's still holding positions of power, including even some of the Trump administration. Not even the Trump administration is totally free from that. And so as a result, now is the most important time to speak up, because in 10 years, we won't be able to. If you speak up in 10 years, you'll probably get arrested or have your social credit score deducted if we're not able to stop this mob right now. There is no choice. It is a matter of life or death. Consequences, who cares?
Okay, so let's say all things considered, that what I'm saying is a real problem. Let me just tell you what happened on October 7th. You had Hamas come into Israel and go after innocent people. They went after innocent people because the really bad people that are out there are propped up and protected, and people make excuses for their behavior that has caused massive amounts of death and destruction around the world. And what I heard last night was Americans are responsible for everything that happens around the world. You're right, Americans are. But you have a CIA and a Mossad and an MI6 and all these other different intelligence communities that have been working together. And in large part, you have 35 people that are in Congress today that hold dual citizenship, means they're duly allegiant to both Israel and to the United States. And 35 doesn't seem like a big number until you get to the point where that's 8% of the people that are in Congress. So 8% off the bat have dual allegiance to Israel and to the United States. You look at the disproportionate number of judges that are Jewish, that are atheist, godless people, that are judges inside of our country. They represent 2.2% of the population in the United States. There's only 6 to 7 million Jews around the world. 2.2% are Jewish, and 46% at the low point are federal judges in the United States. And you'd say, well, they value education, which is what I said last night. And I'm like, okay, I give it to you that they value education. Does that mean that Asians don't value education? Does that mean that Catholics don't value education? How about Mormons? How about, and what you start to do is you start to look at ethnic groups or groups that are culturally connected that have a high regard for education. But they want to say that we have a higher regard for education, but you don't. You don't have a higher regard, but you have a fraternity that's been built that has captured different parts of the country, and it captured Israel. And if what I'm saying is not correct, then please tell me that in the last 8 years, how 5 times there was a collapse of the government of Israel. 5 times the government has collapsed in Israel. Rewrite the Constitution. Re-legislate the leadership that actually governs the country. Tell me how that happens if you're not a captured environment. And people in Israel feel like they're just as much slaves to these really bad people like Netanyahu, who are running around saber rattling, causing wars all over the place. And you have people in this country that are killing innocent Jews, which we're going to talk about. True Jews, people that are people of faith, people that frankly, I have a connection to because of the Abrahamic faith, Muslims, Christians, and Jews. It comes from one place. You can say, oh, they're different gods. It's not. It's not. And if you've ever studied it, which I have, you would know that it's not. But we have this silly chaos that gets created by the ridiculous, and we cater to the ridiculous. And why do I know this is right? Because people literally all day today, Matt, called me, texted me, emailed me, You know what they said? Joe, I wanted to like your post, but I thought maybe someone would find out that I liked it. My Jewish friends wouldn't like it. They're like, I wanted to like it, but you're talking about something, Joe, that is persona non grata. You're not allowed to talk about it. How in the hell are we with 8 billion people in the world, and we're not allowed to talk about South African white people that get killed systematically, and you're not allowed to talk about Jewish people who are really not Jewish. They're just evil, atheistic demons that are using the rest of the world and then hiding behind good people who believe and follow the word of God, even in the Torah. Tell me how that works out.
It doesn't add up at all. And let's put up a picture, by the way, of Yaron Lachinsky as well as Sarah Milgram. So that is the guy who is believed and is confirmed by multiple news sources to have been the one who went to the embassy, the Israeli embassy, and shot 2 Jewish people there. They were planning to get married. Or no, are those? I think that
no, those are the people.
Those are the people who got shot. Okay, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. It looks
that is not Elias.
I was
Elias
thinking it looks different. Okay, so those are the 2 individuals who got shot, not the one who did the shooting. So both of them lost their lives. Looks like good people. Obviously, you can see smiling, seems happy, and so that is extremely sad. And so people are saying this is a false flag potentially, where this guy was instructed to do it on purpose to try to justify other things, like, for example, a war in the Middle East, or to justify calls for censorship and increased calls online to ban people who criticize the formerly Jewish atheists. So that's who they're hiding behind. That right there, I was like, that doesn't look like the guy who would be the shooter. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So that makes a lot more sense. By the way, those pictures, all this is recent news, by the way. This is all just coming out. Today's show is breaking news in essence. And so we can see, I mean, what do you think, Joe? Like, doesn't that break your heart to see that they're using these innocent people probably for false flags, but regardless, people are still losing their lives? It is extremely sad to watch that happen.
Yeah, so let me tell you a bit more about these people. These are 2 Messianic Jews that were planning to get married that were gunned down. In Washington, D.C., where you can't own a gun. You can't carry a gun. You can have no sort of protection on you. So only bad people. It's like being a sitting duck in a city that is run by radical demons. But they're Messianic Jews. In other words, they're Jewish, but they believe in God. Believe in Jesus. They follow Jesus. I think my problem, and I think the thing that makes me the worst about this, is that we can solve this problem. They didn't deserve to die. There were 2 young people that, were just starting their life. And because they walked out of a Holocaust museum, they became the victims of, or useful idiots of, a system that was designed to make examples of people that they see as dispensable. And you can say that that's not the case, but that is the case. That is absolutely the case. And
one thing I find that's interesting, though, is so Donald Trump didn't tweet about it when the white kid was stabbed by a black kid for basically just telling him not to sit in his seat in the tent. And yet Trump is willing to make a truth post about this. And everyone said if the guy was Jewish, or a formerly Jewish atheist, Jewish, whatever, if he was Jewish, he would have had a tweet about it. And now we see this happen, similar incident. And of course, Trump is willing to make a post about this. Still, though, has not said one word about Austin Metcalf situation.
All right,
that is crazy to me. Let's put up. Yeah, go ahead, Joe. But while you're talking, let's put up the Trump post real quick.
Okay, so let me. This is me teaching you something. Sometimes you can get in the fray and cause more damage. And I know that this is what President Trump said, but these were Christians that were killed. These were Messianic Jews. They were Christians. Like they had given their life to Christ. They were getting ready to get married. And so you could say that this is anti-Semitic, and it says here that it was based on anti-Semitism. But they were Christians that were based on anti-Semitism. They were killing young people. And so I just want to, I'll just read this. The horrible DC killings based obviously on anti-Semitism must end now. Hatred and radicalism have no place in the USA. Condolences to the families of the victims. So sad that such a thing like this can happen. God bless you all. There are no consequences for the people that caused this. There are no consequences for the people that have created the environment that allows for radicals to be radicalized. And this was a deviant left, socialist, Democrat, was a Democrat socialist of the world or something, individual, this Elias character.
If that was really, if that could have been a psyop. So I want to be clear about that. That could have been a psyop. Oftentimes these are false flags. Again, for the purposes of reporting, it does appear that way. It does appear like a socialist person who was on the far left and was extremely anti-Semitic as a result of that and hates what's happening in Palestine. It appears that that is what happened. It could have been the case if it wasn't a psyop, but they often will use things like this to try to push wars and push censorship on social media. The fact that it was a Christian couple, Messianic Jewish couple who converted to Christianity, I think even makes it more impactful and more important what happened here, because then that honestly makes it even more look like a false flag to me. But it's extremely sad regardless, because there's no denying that those two individuals did lose their lives. They're no longer with us. They're about to get married at the very beginning of a beautiful journey of life, would have had kids, made a family, and they're taken so soon because of this. It is extremely sad to watch that. We also, by the way, have a video of the guy who did it being arrested. If we could put up that video right now of Elias Rodriguez. Rodriguez sounds like a Hispanic name, presumably, I would imagine. There he is right there. And by the way, that's why for a second I wasn't sure, because we only have videos of him from far away. You can't actually see close up yet, and so that's why I wasn't for sure about the first image we looked at.
Let's play the video, because he was screaming. So I want everybody to hear what he's saying.
Listen,
this is a guy that worked for a leftist group think tank. These think tanks they're just spooling out terrorists. They're spooling out terrorists. And you know why they're doing it? Because their target is the guys that are actually the atheistic demons. But the people that get to pay the price are the pawns. And they're hoping that what? You're going to run out of pawns? You're not. You got 8 billion of them. Well, let's go ahead and play the video.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
You know what's weird? He waited there to be arrested. He didn't even try to run. He did it and then just waited there until the police came and took him into custody. It didn't even seem like he was trying to take out more people. He was just there waiting. He took out 2 people and then waited, almost as if there could be a personal connection between them, if it was in fact as we're being told, or if it was a psyop, that would make even more sense. Do you think it's a psyop, Joe? What are we looking at here?
Well, look, there's no doubt that the intelligence community has a firm grip on creating ops. And there's no doubt that this is an op. There's no doubt that there's more of this that has to conveniently show up on the doorstep. And what I would tell people is that you have to at some point recognize the fact that there are really bad people. And I want to say something else that is related to something that somebody said. They just sent me a text message on this. I'm not saying that there isn't a cartel that is the Catholic cartel. I'm not telling you that there isn't a cartel that's the Mormon cartel. I'm not telling you that we don't have a cartel, what is it called? The Waco, Ruby Ridge problem with cult-like behavior. I'm saying that a vast majority, the most effective criminal cartel in this country that has caused major harm around the world is directly tied to these faithless people like Yuval Noah Harari, who said that he's going to become a god and kill off 95% of the population of the world. You have people like Bill Gates. You have other people that have created a systematic group, and then they hide behind the fact that you can't say a word about them or boo to them because you'd be an anti-Semite. And you can look back at the heritage or they're differentiating themselves now from even being white. They're saying, well, they have different characteristics and their genome's different. Just so we're clear, the genes of every ethnic group are different. I can tell you if someone is from Russia. I can tell you if someone's from Eritrea or Ethiopia very distinctly. And yet they're still black. They're not like, oh, hold on, Ethiopian is a brand new race. No, you're black. And being Jewish is going to create a different DNA structure. Why? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But if I look at someone running down the street, I'm not looking at them and going, oh my gosh, did you see that guy? Oh my, hey, Matt, did you see him? Did you see him? No, Joe, can you give me a description? Matt, it was a Jewish 5'9" guy wearing sneakers, right? You're going to say it's a white dude. And yet you have people that are running out saying, well, you can have black on it because, black, just put all the black people together. And you can have white people, put all the white people together. But, no, we're the chosen people. We're the Israelites. We got our own race. So with Jewish is a race. Wrong. You're wrong. It's not a race. You have a color just like everything else. You have your ethnicity, great. But they're running away while building this entire bubble around a protected class. And it's not a mistake that most of the radical leftist white people in these NGOs are Jewish. They're atheists. They're self-proclaimed atheists that run around trying to tell people all the time, tell you, tell me, tell everyone, there is no God. Well, why in the world, by the way, would atheists, Matt, why do atheists run around telling everyone that there's no God? What's the outcome of that?
It's evil. I mean, they're called by the devil to do that. And by the way, we also have an article right here from Elias, the guy who committed the shooting. You can see some of his history, some of his past, who this guy really was. He is not
Crazy.
Some far right-wing guy, as the media wants to say, and it's kind of gets old saying that because it's every time. It's not really that interesting anymore. Go ahead and put up before. This is the article, and you can see in this article, it talks about not only him being part of the Socialist Party for Liberation, but also pushing some extreme left ideologies, things that arguably would only make sense if you're part of some insane group. There it is right there. So Chicago demands justice for Daquan, not money for Amazon. Is that maybe is that the same one? And is he mentioned in that article? I believe that there was one article that we pulled up for the data today that shows him being mentioned in it. And basically this guy, not only is that the case, but on top of that, clearly he cared more about being able to say the words Free Palestine on camera than he did about trying to run. There we go. We scroll down at it. So in this article is where he's mentioned, which is great work from our team, by the way, to find this. And you can see Elia Rodriguez from the Party for Socialism and Liberation argued that the murder of Laquan McDonald and the Chicago bid for Amazon headquarters are not two separate issues, but rather they are to be connected. So this guy's essentially trying to justify a murder along with his socialist ideologies. Once again, the red flags all over the place. We see the clear signs. Why didn't authorities try to stop this? He has mainstream media coverage. Does he have CIA connections like we've seen with JFK and many others? With the assassination of JFK, everyone knows the guy who they claim did it. Also with the bombing that we saw all those years ago, with all of Hillary Clinton's documents getting destroyed, about that. All of these cases where we continue to see CIA connections, wouldn't surprise me if we saw that here too. Going down the conspiracy rabbit hole a little bit, but once again, for the second story in a row today, Joe, we have these weird coincidences that don't seem to add up. We have people who potentially are Jewish in both cases or formerly Jewish that are involved. One is an attack, the other maybe as well. On the same day, I have to question this. And I feel like I actually wonder if we may need more time on this show, because we're at an hour, but I want to go through all of this. This is super interesting to me. We may need to talk about this tomorrow as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I do want to say this about that guy. He also worked for a think tank. I mean, and this was great work by the team in uncovering this. Black nationalist NGO called the History Makers. We have these pictures as well. We should probably put these up. He is an oral history researcher. Elia Rodriguez is an oral history researcher at the History Makers, which has prepared detailed research outlining the biographies of accomplished leaders in the African American community. Born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, he holds a BA degree in English from the University of Illinois at Chicago. Prior to joining History Makers in 2023, he worked as a content writer for commercial and non-commercial firms in the technology space, both national and regional based. He enjoyed reading and writing fiction, live music, videos, or film, and exploring new places. He lives in Avondale neighborhood of Chicago. And then it goes through and talks a little bit about what it is History Makers is, which is important. History Makers is a national 501c3 nonprofit research and education institute committed to preserving and making widely accessible the untold personal stories of both well-known and unsung African Americans. Through the media and a series of user-friendly products, services, and events, the History Makers enlightens, entertains, and educates the public, helping to refashion a more inclusive record of American history. It's founded to address the lack of documentation and preservation of the African American historical record. Prior to the start of interviews in 2000, there was only one large-scale methodic attempt during the 20th century to capture African American history or first-person perspective. WPA slave narratives housed at the Library of Congress. Nearly a century of African American achievements and struggles have gone undocumented at the time of our founding. Was born out of the founder's dream to address the problem by capturing one person at a time. And it goes through and talks a little bit about what that actually entails. This is the thing that I will say about this, Matt, is that somewhere along the line there's an engine, there's a cookbook with an oven that is cooking, is creating, grooming people to do what Elias did. They're creating it. They're creating the same thing when it comes to, it sounds kind of like the same thing that happened in Colorado with this, you can't misgender someone, right? If you misgender someone, it's a crime. So you're not allowed to speak and say, yes, sir, to a dude that's dressed up with a 5 o'clock shadow. You're not allowed to say you're a dude because it's a hate crime. And less than 0.06% of our population?
It is less than that.
And so we got to protect the class of people. And do you know how many of these people are Jewish, atheist? I don't know.
Large percent.
A large percent of them are. And they're trying to create this deal where social media has created these social contagions where people want to be seen. They feel like they're invisible. Social media has these things where people get to be seen, and now you have everyone running out and women trying to sell their bodies on OnlyFans and trying to sleep with 1,000 men in 24 hours and all these crazy things that are happening. And it's all driven by these atheistic, godless, demonic people, this cult. And you wonder why you have suicides that are up and you have crimes like this that are up. And I try to address it. I literally try to address it and say, listen, go after the people that are really bad. Get rid of the Bossberg judges and the judges that have done really bad things and their little minions that include some other radicals that were then recruited through these education environments, these cookbooks, these cooking kitchens of how they cook out radical terrorists, because that's where they come from. And yet we don't do it. We don't do it.
Not at all. There's one woman, by the way, who was just hospitalized for trying to sleep with 600 and something men in one day. The consequences of this are not only mental or not only on the person themselves getting STDs, things like that. It's also societal, as you mentioned, Joe. It is a societal rot that is being intentionally pushed upon us, preying on our worst impulses, our worst ideas and addictions oftentimes, and forcing those addictions to start, and then you can't get off of them, including that OnlyFans addictions, food addictions, all sorts of alcohol, drug addictions that are being pushed on people, forced upon the media addictions, being part of this party or that party. All of it's fake and designed to basically enslave us mentally. Now, we also have a photo here of the guy, Elias, did the shooting, working for a Black nationalist NGO as a presumably Hispanic man. So not only was he assuming this isn't fully a psyop, and it was, as we're told, not only was he working with the Socialist Party, take a look at this picture, he was also working with an NGO trying to go against white people and push Black nationalism. One of the most evil ideologies in America is Black nationalism. It is extremely destructive. It causes violence against white people in countries where white people are the minority, like in South Africa. It causes literal genocide, people being killed by the dozens. So you can see right there. So this is a picture of the article that shows that. And if you read through it, we won't read through it because that'll be boring, but you can read through it, pause and read through it if you would like to. This shows his involvement with that. And it's almost every single time these people have all of these connections, the people who tried to assassinate Trump, the people who carry out these shootings. There's another picture of him. I mean, that guy looks so mentally unstable. I'm surprised he even was capable of understanding how to use a firearm. Looking at him, he looks like he wouldn't even understand how to change his own pillow sheets. So I don't know. I don't know how this all happened. I mean, but there it is. So now we know the truth about him. And with that said, I think we can go ahead and move on to the next story, because I don't want to talk about all this bad, evil, negative stuff. Conspiracy theories are interesting, but there comes a time when you're just like, all right, that's enough for today. That's enough of this. It's too evil. It's too much. They're not giving us enough information. And we just have to talk about something more positive, which is, of course, that Trump just passed a big bill. Take a look at this. So we have a tweet that shows the bill, and this is exciting. So for once, we finally have Trump, who is taking the tax system and turning it upside down on its head. If you right now want to buy an American-made car, you're going to be able to get certain tax breaks. There's a tweet directly taken from True Social, by the way. His team does that. He makes the post originally on his platform that he gets paid to post on, and then goes to Twitter, which sucks because now that Elon owns Twitter, he might as well just be on Twitter. Anyway, though, here it is. The big, beautiful bill has passed the House of Representatives, arguably the most important piece of legislation in the history of our country. I don't know about that. I don't think that's true, but I like his style though. This is good. This includes massive tax cuts, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax deductions when you purchase American-made vehicle, including Tesla, by the way. That's not by accident. Elon Musk sitting in the room when he signs this bill, along with strong border security measures. Border security is already up. What we really need is, and we're working on something, by the way, to help to get to the Trump administration. We need to do that. We need them to be better, not just border security. We need deportations, a lot of them, en masse, right now, or else our country's over. The bill tackles that, as well as so ICE Border Patrol agents, more funding for that. We're running out of money, by the way. What does he think? Where does he think we're going to get this money from? Trump's savings accounts for newborn babies. That's pretty cool, and much more. Great job by Speaker Mike Johnson and House leadership. $36 trillion in debt, and we're adding more expenditures on. That's the other way. That's the negative way to look at it. The positive way to look at it is, at least if we're going to spend money on something, these are the good things to spend money on. Vote yes on this historic bill is what he's calling for them to do. He goes on and describes it more. It's the greatest, the best bill of all time. Has to be passed. And the Senate, with 100-0, makes me confident that the House will indeed pass this and it will become law. Most people don't already pay tips on tips, especially when it's in cash. If you get a tip at a restaurant that's on the credit card, you're already probably going to be paying your taxes on that. But if you get it in cash, there's no chance. Almost nobody pays tips, tax on cash. And your microphone's off, Joe.
All right. So there's laws in different states that say that no matter what, if you don't get a tip, you still have to pay 8% of the total. They'll assume that 8% of the total was tipped, right? So if you have $1,000, they'll assume that $80 you got in tips, even if you didn't declare them. So they tax you on that anyway. And so that's how the states are trying to claw back and take advantage and take more cash from people. So I hope it passes for another reason. You know what else is in the big bad bill? You know what else is in it?
What else is in it?
Taking silencers off of the NFA list. Making silencers. Did you know that?
I think that's important, by the way.
So
because silencers are sometimes very, very helpful in home protection. That can be the difference between you being the one that comes out victorious and them doing that.
You should. I mean, look, if you have a weapon inside of your home, you should have a silencer on it. You should 100% have a silencer, which is good because we have lots of silencers. You can go to dcfguns.com and you can pick up a silencer today. But if they take it off the NFA list, you can buy it across the counter. Basically come in and buy a silencer without having to wait for conjugal visits or for any time frame. You have to pass the same background check you do on a gun. You get the silencer, take it home, put it on your gun. And so when you literally put 6 in the chest of the guy that breaks into your house, you're not having to, repair your eardrums as a result of the percussion. So really good thing to have. The gun next to my bed, by the way, is this the part of the silencers? I can't see it. See if I can find it real quick. There we go. And this is the reduction of excise tax on firearm silencers. So when you take it off the NFA list, that means that you won't have to pay the $200 tax stamp either. How about that? $0 for transfers in the case of a silencer. This is a big deal. This is a big win for Second Amendment rights for everyone across America.
It is. It's not only going to be a big win for that, it's also going to cause, by the way, intruders to be now scared to go into homes if they can't even hear what's coming. That's a terrifying prospect if you decide to break into someone's home. So I love this for that. I think it's going to be very important for that. And also, if we can get this passed, maybe we can get some more good legislation passed. So I need to, by the way, step out for a second and deal with something. I'll be right back. There's a couple of stories that are big to talk about today. So go ahead and turn the camera off me for a second. I'll be right back. And Joe, take the baton for a second here. I'll be right back.
Got it. Okay, so we passed the bill, and now we're going to go to There's a thing that this is like magic to my ears. Apollo. Operation Spring Cleaning. It sounds like something that you would have off of you'd clean your house. Operation Spring Cleaning, we're going to clean our house. But it's not. In the past few months, law enforcement has rescued 27 children and arrested 265 pedophiles. Let's go ahead and if we can, let's play this short clip. This is Operation Spring Cleaning in California. Let's play it.
New at 4, police arrested more than 250 people in a big internet crime sweep across Southern California. LA Police Chief Jim McDonald and other law enforcement agencies shared the results of Operation Spring Cleaning, a 2-week sting across 5 counties last month.
This operation and the ongoing efforts of law enforcement serve as a clear message to anyone attempting to prey on the youth of our communities. This will not be tolerated. Not in Glendale, not in LA County, not anywhere across the Southern California region.
265 people were arrested for using the internet to target kids for sexual abuse. 27 children were rescued during this investigation.
Yeah, so this is like music to my ears because this is a long time coming. You have Angel Studios and you have what Disney did to silence the Sound of Freedom movie that came out. They silenced it. They bought it and put it on the shelf. And the guys at Angel Studios, now the Angel Studios, came together and had to buy it back. because they didn't want it to come out. And getting back to that thing that we were just talking about before about these really bad people like Epstein and Weinstein, I just want to remind you that Epstein is a Jew and he raped lots of children, and he used those children and then gave them and handed them off to powerful people around the country, many of which were judges and lawyers and all the things the disgusting people that I'm talking about that just got hooked up in these 265 pedophiles that got picked up. But they're trying to, that's one of the guys that hid behind being Jewish. He said that the reason why, and you go back and look at this, the reason why Epstein was targeted for sex crimes, because remember, he was a registered sex offender when he was arrested a second time. He was a registered sex offender. He went to jail. But he got out of that too. See, a normal non-person that could hide behind that would have gone to jail for 10, 15 years. But he didn't. And he hid behind the fact that he was Jewish for so long, he was able to perpetrate those crimes for decades. You know who else was able to do that? Weinstein. And we can go down the line and we can talk about people that have gotten away with countless crimes or taking advantage of women and children, or even the judiciary where they can bend it their way in order to persecute their victims, their intended targets. And that leads open what you're seeing happen today with anti-Semitism. That is the reason why you have it. So I'm going to go through a couple more stories that maybe are a little bit more what's happening around the country. May 16th, there's 5 people that died and 36 that were injured due to a tornado that went across St. Louis. It affected about 3,500 homes and businesses were damaged. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up. If we can, let's go ahead and play this video really quick. This is what was happening actually inside of St. Louis, Missouri, which is a rarity. Yeah. 3, 4. And if you go through, and this is just some of the stuff that you saw where it tore stuff off of buildings, knocked down trees. And one of the reasons why this happened was because nobody activated the sirens. Here's a CBS News clip describing the failure to activate the sirens and why it supposedly happened. And again, the government seems to fail every time they get a chance to fail, and they always make excuses. Let's go ahead and play it. Cut 5.
FEMA exists to alert the community when severe weather is coming. This office failed to do that in the most horrific and deadly storm that our city has experienced in my lifetime.
St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer says that word of possible tornadoes came Friday afternoon. But the city's emergency officials didn't push the button to sound the outdoor warning sirens because they were out of the office at a workshop.
There was human error, there was a failure to do testing, there was a host of things that went wrong here that resulted in the failure to get the emergency management system, the siren system, working that day.
The tornado was a mile wide when it went through residential neighborhoods of St. Louis, packing winds of more than 150 miles an hour. 5 people were killed. These are some of the more than 3,000 buildings damaged, according to the mayor. The tornado hit the ground and carved a path of destruction over 20 miles long.
This cannot happen when a tornado is ripping through our community.
Mayor Spencer put the city's head of emergency management, Sarah Russell, on paid leave and launched an investigation.
Would lives have been saved if those sirens would have sounded?
It's hard to say. The siren system is designed to really alert people outside, and it didn't do that. And, at the end of the day, that was a failure.
This local failure comes at a time when staffing at National Weather Service offices across the country have decreased dramatically and leave warning systems stretched thin.
I can say that if there's a problem there, we will mobilize immediately again to ensure that the system and the backup system are in place, working and working well.
I've covered wars on 3 continents, and the destruction here reminds me of what
All right, so there's a reason why I brought that up. And let's go ahead and play this. This is a response from Sarah Russell, the one that was put on administrative leave. And I just want you to know that Sarah Russell uses the pronouns they, them, made a statement after the tornado claimed the lives of 5 individuals. And by the way, this is not a failure of the government. This is a failure that happened on purpose, because the government has failed the people every which way but Sunday. They have stolen and taken more meat off the bone than is theirs. They are a part of this corrupt cartel, and they see all of us as slaves. Here's what they, them had to say.
The FEMA office is very small, and the majority of the time we work closer to business hours unless the need arises, such as what we're doing now, or special events. A lot of that work takes us out into the community, so we aren't necessarily in our office space at all times. We do have a very small staff. I have received reports of people that did hear it. I've heard from a lot of people that said they haven't heard it.
Yeah, it never happened. It absolutely never happened. And kind of just to give you guys some clarity, people are afraid. They're absolutely afraid to associate themselves with truth. And every time we talk about truth, and Matt was talking about it earlier, like, Joe, you lost 3,000 followers on X. So I went in and I took a picture of it, and I was like, no, I didn't. They're just playing games with my followers. You do the same thing that we went through with Facebook, and you look at the suppression that we had on different platforms. It's always the same platform. Joe, no one's listening to your voice. And then I go back and I look at what we have happening on our website, and it's this huge boon of people that are engaging with our content. So it's different than what everyone else is saying. And then you go and listen to listen notes, or you go to Nielsen ratings, and you go, wow, there's 8-10 million people that are listening to you. We're in the top 0.1% of podcasts across the globe. Over 95% of our listeners are in the United States. So we're talking to people that really matter to me. I want to talk to Americans. I want them to know what's happening. Well, I went ahead and I put up a post on LinkedIn. I had a couple of people that applied for positions within some of our companies. And I had people that came out and wanted to talk to me about doing work for us as a business, as a vendor. And the first thing that I do is I always go out and I research those companies and find out what the ideals of that company are, so that they closely align with what we do if we need those things. And the reason why I bring this up is because DEI is dangerous. It killed 5 people in St. Louis. They, them is nothing but a Humpty Dumpty that sat on a wall that didn't get pushed off yet. That dictated the lives, or did things to dictate an incompetence and put in that position so that they could have some sort of score on whether or not they were servicing these small sections of people who frankly are just mentally ill. And there are real consequences to that. And so I put this post up on LinkedIn, and I said, warning to all prospects for employment or trying to sell me or us anything. Take your pronouns off. We don't do business with people who virtue signal and perpetuate ridiculousness. It's a growing trend. Mental illness is at an all-time high, and atheists spend all day convincing you that God does not exist, to drive you into hopelessness. If God does not exist, why do the demons care that you know they are atheists? Why? I'll tell you why. Miserable people love company. They live to build a fraternity of hopelessness and emptiness. It is their purpose. We have gay, confused, and even sadly some faithless that work for us and work with us. What we don't have are recruits. We don't have cancers that live in our environment, and pronouns are a fairly good indicator of the mental weakness that it represents. If you don't think for yourself and you can't critically think, you can't get an audience. If you can't explain the why without using some radical nut, I think it was nutball, and I think it said nutmeg, to help you, to tell you why, then you have no substance. Therefore, you have no value to the organization. Companies don't care about your feelings. They care about results. HR seems to think it is about you. Newsflash, it's not. And frankly, companies are tired of having to babysit mental midgets, quiet part out loud, and other team members are exhausted having to tolerate stupid. Just some advice on this Thursday. Now, the reason why I wrote this is because I talk to business owners every day, and we are tired. We are tired. Business owners are tired of giving Google 25 cents on every dollar, giving the government 50 cents on every dollar, having to file taxes twice a year, do all these things to file reports, be a tax bib and collect money for employees that you have work for you, and then have to pay a little bit extra just to have the ability to hire people inside of your community, to give them an opportunity. And you want to know why small businesses fail. You want to know why mid businesses fail. You want to know why large businesses that are only tied to these cartel characters that have done real harm to us continue to thrive? I'll tell you why. Because the system is not designed for the American people to win. President Trump is changing that. But unfortunately, there are still people that are out there that are resisting it, and people in his own administration that are pushing back and saying, look, if we can only keep him focused on things that we can change in 2 years or 4 years, then everything will be just fine. It's an active operation. It's an operation that is happening in Europe. It's happening in the WHO. It's happening in different environments. And what I mean about the WHO is we pulled out of the WHO. And the dues that were due in 2024 and 2025, President Trump says, I'm not paying them. I'm not paying you guys 1 cent. So Tedros, who's the head of the WHO, says we have to make massive cuts at the WHO, $230 million worth, because the largest carrier, the largest person that gives us the money to go out there and wreak havoc and do harm to people all around the world, the United States, has said we're not going to be there. But here's what Tedros also said. He said, don't worry, things will be different in just a few years, which means they are planning all over the world how they take away from the American people and turn us back into the slaves that they turned us back into in 2021. When President Trump came into office in 2017, he said, this is not a transfer of power from one president to the next. This is giving back power to the people. And he spent the next 4 years doing exactly that. Only in the last year, with the most popular president in modern history, if not the history of our country or the history of any country, this phenomenon, Donald J. Trump, came in to an environment where they decided we had to wreak havoc in that last year. They had to create this chaos. And then they stole elections and they killed millions of Americans while they killed people all over the world. And they created such magnificent chaos because of these cabals that came together that it led us to the place where we had 4 years of absolute misery, where court systems were propped up and state environments stole elections down ballot at such a rate, such a clip, that it was almost impossible to recover from it. And yet here we are in the first year of President Trump's second term, something that has never happened before. A man that was viciously attacked for 4 years became our president again. And yet the people in office right now are doing much of the same thing that they did before. And they're trying to prop up and hold on to DEI and other initiatives based on race that frankly are leading us to a place where we are about to go to war. And many of you would say, wow, we're not going to war. President Trump is saving us. I was on the phone with Neil Johnson this morning. He's like, Joe, everything's going in the right direction. I said, you're not paying attention to the details. See, what President Trump did in 2017 to 2020 is he took the will of the people and he applied it through executive orders. Now he has a big bad bill that he's going to pass, and that's going to do great things. It's going to reduce the friction that has happened for the Second Amendment. And yet, as he is signing that bill, there are states like Colorado, California, and others that are already using their radical influence and the fact that they've been stealing elections for decades to then say, all right, we'll just cancel that out and we'll make it so you have to have an NFA item through Colorado, circumventing the 10th and 14th Amendment while walking past and pissing on the Second. See, while we have radicals, the perfect example of this Elias Rodriguez guy that worked for this radical leftist think tank, is the thing that we actually miss in all of this is that we get to trade one slave owner for another. And if it's not the federal government coming down and pushing down their pressures on us, it's the state saying, let us fill the void. Yet if we don't get a hold of our election systems and get rid of machines and mail-in ballots, if we don't start solving the root of our problem, which is these atheist, godless individuals that have built this cartel, a cartel that literally is as solid as a concrete sidewalk. If we don't do something to undo the harm that they are doing, it won't just be Christians that are being persecuted. It won't just be Americans that are being persecuted. It'll be everyone except for these cartel leaders that are seeking the absolute destruction of society, of humanity. And that's not being hyperbolic. You can see the writing on the wall. As we solve problems and give us some tax relief, we had that same tax relief in 2017, 2018, 2019. We saw the biggest increase in GDP that we've seen in 5 decades. But we still had to fight against a rotted judiciary and a legislative group that is largely controlled on the Republican and the Democrat side, that only public pressure allowed for certain bills to get through. And they all say the same thing. It's complicated, but it's actually not that complicated. You overtax us and you take too much meat off the bone and you treat the American people like they're slaves. And the rest of the world gets to eat while people in our own country suffer and live through opportunity deserts and education deserts and food deserts. And where white, liberal, atheist pieces of trash run around telling us that Black people need reparations. You want to know why they say that? It's because they want to create as much opportunity for themselves. Give Black people a bunch of money. You already killed their educational environment. They'll go spend the money, and these radical leftists will take all the meat off the bone of that as well. And they'll be right back in the same place that most pro athletes are at 2 years after they exit the NFL or the NBA. It's a real problem. And it's a problem that we should look into, and a problem that we should not ignore. If we solve the problems, and I guess this is directed directly towards President Trump, if you want to solve a problem, you have to solve the problem, not service the symptom. Or 2 years from now, we'll be in absolute chaos. Now, if that's the point, then maybe I read the room wrong. But without machines and without mail-in ballots, we have all the evidence. We have all the evidence you could ever need. Just need a couple of smart people in a room, and to make sure that if a judge makes the wrong decision, that the judge is thrown out the door, just like they should be in places where they ignore the rights of the American people. We should never be slaves. Let's pray ourselves out, shall we?
We shall. And it's our job, by the way, and I'm back, as you can see. But it's our job, by the way, to hold them accountable, especially people who are on our side. That's what a lot of individuals who are looking at this don't understand. Yes, we need to call out the people who aren't on our side, and we need to hold them accountable. But it is even more important, many times more important even, to call out people on our own side and hold them accountable, because they will actually listen to us at a much higher rate and take that more seriously when we do. So that's extremely important. I'm going to go ahead and pray. And I encourage you to join, even if you're watching, wherever you're watching, it doesn't, as long as you're not driving or something, I encourage you to bow your head and pray with us. Join us in prayer as we talk to God. Dear Lord, we've seen, once again, more people losing their lives in the last 24 hours in unfortunate ways. Evil that has come to the surface in one example, and another where 2 people, unfortunately, were involved in a plane crash and lost their lives. Help to protect their souls, to reunite with you. Help their families as they go through a time of grieving and questioning why them. Why did this have to happen now? The worst feeling in the world is losing someone and knowing you can't get them back. But there's still so much to look forward to, and so many good things that are happening too. And I hope we don't lose sight of that and all of the bad. Amen.
Amen. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same station, 2:00. And I know that we're going to get smacked around and get calls and emails from people that said, oh my gosh, they're anti-Jewish. We're not anti-Jewish. Matt's not anti-Jewish. I'm not anti-Jewish. We're not anti-Semitic at all. We're not self-loathing. We're not people that want to do harm to anybody. But we do want to recognize the fact that when you have murderers and killers and pedophiles and really bad people doing bad things, we should hold those people accountable. And they should never be able to hide behind a group of people and say, oh, you can't say anything to us. You can't hold us responsible. Because we should, and we could, and we can, and we will.
Well said. And 4 p.m. Eastern time for everyone over there on the East Coast. 4 p.m. Eastern time. We will see you tomorrow.